Today is Monday, October 7th. I got the date right for once, guys. The NLDS is evened up at 1 win apiece as the Mets played another climactic game, although they didn't come away with the win this time. We're going to talk about it. Let's go.
Jerry and Charlie, Shea Station. Jerry and Charlie, riding through the airwaves, bringing you the heat. Come on, pull up my fans, now get up out your seat. They're bringing you all things Mets, they're bringing you all things Mets. They're bringing you all things Mets, now you're listening to Shea Station.
Welcome back to the Shea Station podcast. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a crazy week in Mets baseball. We appreciate all your support. If you're listening on YouTube or if you're listening on podcasts, leave us a review, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. It's been a wild ride, Jerry, and there's going to be bumps in the road along the way, and I think yesterday was a good lesson about that. The Mets went back and forth with the Phillies on their home turf again. They had big-time leads in their hands. They were unable to close Game 2. The Phillies walk it off 7-6 to even the series and send it back to Citi Field. So much to discuss in this game. Jerry, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Yeah, that was, I told you, and you knew, these Phillies have some fight. They're built for this. It's not going to be easy, but the Mets fight too, man. That was a fun game. It was a heartbreaker to lose, but again, I feel good. Like it was a loss. And it was a tough one, way to go down because you guys fought back. We had big performances, big moments. Normally, it's very deflating to have that kind of loss, but it just feels good to fight there and go down like that. So,
yeah, I mean, another game where they refused to roll over and die, which was really inspiring. I mean, I think sleeping on it has helped me get some clarity because after the game, emotions ran high for sure. Let's start at the beginning, I guess. Let's do it as we have been doing, just to tell you the story of the game. The story begins with Luis Severino, in my opinion, who looked like he was on pace for his most impressive start as a Met. His stuff just looked absolutely nasty. His fastball was sitting at 98, 99 at times. Even the sinker was juiced up too. He was handling this Phillies lineup. He had 5 2/3 scoreless innings in this game up until, the final out there, 7 strikeouts along the way. He was giving the Mets exactly what they needed. The Philly lineup looked lost. The crowd was booing their own players. It looked like the New York Mets were somehow breaking the Phillies in their own home stadium. I mean, what did you see with Severino? Did you see anything different, or was it just rising to the occasion?
Rising to the occasion. I think that's exactly what happened. Is this guy has been doing what the team needs all season long. The team needed him to go longer in games, so he would, hold back on his fastball. He would use his sinker, get early outs, give him length. When they needed him to go after a W, he would bring up his fastball. He would go after it, and he stepped up. He was cruising. He looked great. Just, lost focus, I feel like, right at the end, man, yeah. and tried to do too much. Tried to throw too hard, instead of worrying about location over velocity, just lost it. And then this lineup makes you pay when you do that. And unfortunately for him and for the Mets, I mean, they capitalized as big as you get on what was truly a brilliant outing by Severino leading up to that point.
Yeah, it feels weird to say that his line from this game is the same as his one from the NL wild card, where, he battled back and, really didn't have it in the first inning, ends up with 6 innings, 3 earned runs. He ends up with the same thing here, but he was 1 strike away. Literally, he had Trey Turner 1 and 2, 1 strike away from 6 shutout innings, probably pitching the 7th as well, which would have helped a lot with the Mets pitching plans because he was I think at 80 pitches. Turner singles on the sweeper that just catches too much plate.
Well, he fouled off a really good one right before that.
The fourth pitch was, I think, the one that he wanted. He came back in a little bit more to try and get, another swing. Too much plate. He throws a couple nasty sinkers to Harper, one way off the plate, one closer, and gets the swing. Wastes a couple, then just plates the fastball. Like on a silver platter, 98, down the dick, middle as it gets. Harper's not going to miss that. It's Bryce Harper, man. I mean, there's just no way you can groove him that pitch. Even if it's a full count, you got to throw a strike because you know what he's going to do with it. 2-run bomb. Phillies get right back into the game. I said it in my reaction yesterday. Harper is one thing. It's a bad pitch. And you know he's going to crush it. Harper lives for the moment. I found the Castellanos home run that came 2 pitches later a lot more backbreaking because you can still get out of that inning by just throwing Castellanos some balls off the plate, like with that sweeper. You'd handle him up to that point. But he throws him a sweeper middle outside right in his wheelhouse, and he dumps that one for 425 feet in a bat flip. Tie game.
He made a mistake to Harper, and Harper made him pay.
Yeah.
And then he didn't refocus, and he threw a shitty sweeper.
Really bad.
For the first one was a bad one, like a front door, like a hanger, but it was so bad that it ended up and in. You can't really do anything on that. Next one, I mean, that's literally Castellanos' wheelhouse, like a out over the plate, up, hanging, breaking ball. And Castellanos was like, thank you. Crushed it. That was the backbreaker. You are correct. Harper's going to get you.
Everyone's going to point to the fastball as like, you can't do that to Bryce Harper. And I totally get that. But like, just go through you can look at the pitch by pitch.
He punched him out on the fastball up
right
before. He just wanted he wanted to like make a statement with 99. You know what I mean? Because he got it in there. I get it.
And it's a cool moment if he gets it, like we talk about
that one again. He pulled it down and Harper didn't miss it.
Yeah.
This one was a tough one. This one was like you got rattled a little bit and Castellanos got you.
What frustrates me is that in the fourth, he gets Castellanos for the second time. He throws 4 sweepers and they're all in the exact same spot. They're low and away, and he swings at 3 of them and he rolls over the last one. He had shown you no reason that he was going to change from that. Castellanos was in a funk. And what's frustrating is that I feel like the Mets helped him get out of that funk by throwing him hittable pitches. And that is a trend that continues in this game. But Severino gives you a quality start. I thought the Mets did pretty well against Christopher Sanchez. Vientos dumps the 2-run homer opposite way. Gary Cohen said it. I think you said it as well. Mark Vientos is right when he goes the opposite way with his power. And to see that early in the game was really encouraging. Like he had been taking better at bats since the wild card series. To see him go the other way and lean into his power like that was huge. Sanchez comes out after 5. I thought that they pulled him earlier than I think they should have. I know that he was at 88 pitches, but he had, I think, settled down 7 in a row or something like that and looked like he was getting more comfortable. I thought they could have used him for another inning. You can go either way on that, though. What'd you think?
He looked a little... I thought he had great stuff. I thought the Mets gave him a lot of outs.
Yeah.
I don't mind taking him out there, especially giving your guys a chance to bounce back. The bread and butter of your bullpen, who had a rough one, you go right back to him. Sure. I don't mind it.
So they bring in Jose Ruiz. Pete Alonso gets a hold of one. He also goes the opposite way. So the Mets instantly add on to their lead. That's how you end up with a 3-3 game. So a couple home runs in this game for the Mets. They end up hitting 4 home runs in this game. I should have looked this up. I wonder what the record is for teams in the playoffs who hit 4 home runs in a game. I have to imagine it's very high winning percentage, but when you're playing the
probably
Phillies,
pretty good. Yeah.
When you're playing the Phillies, shit like that just goes out the window. So we go to the 7th, and I'm getting nervous because they bring in Kerkering, who I think we all know is better than what he showed in game 1. He instantly punches out Lindor and Vientos on like 8 pitches. Like, it makes it look easy. The one he throws to Vientos, that borderline pitch, is really good. I think it could go either way, but it's too close to take. That sweeper low and away. 2 out, nobody on. the Mets just got punched, and it's like, oh no, like, is this where the momentum swings for Philly? Is this where they finally become themselves again? Brandon Nimmo runs into one, like, just kind of catches. It's not even that bad of a pitch. It's a sinker low in the zone on 2-1. Like, that's hard to get in the air, and Nimmo just goes with it. Liner home run to right center. Jaws a little bit at JT Realmuto. Did you catch that?
They asked Realmuto about it. Brandon's come out. He's
Is this his villain arc? Like, what's
I
going
know
on?
I know it's I don't want to get political on here, but Dark Brandon a little bit. He's taking his villain arc a little bit. I love it though. He's got some attitude. Apparently, he said to Realmuto something about Sanchez.
Yeah, he said, "Where's Sanchez? Why'd you guys take him out?" Something along those lines, which was I found that interesting.
I did too. Very, very un-Nimmo like.
Yeah.
But look, this is entertainment, dude. It was a big home run, 96 sinker. It wasn't a terrible pitch. Counterpoint, you were talking about the Vientos pitch as a strike.
Yeah,
100% as a strike. And I think the fastball up was the strike too that he took, that they gave it. So,
he pieced him up. That was great pitching by Kirkring, which made the home run shocking because he looked dialed.
He was dialed. Yeah. Brandon took, he felt like he took two really good pitches in. That slider, the sweeper that he took for ball 2 was beautiful.
Yeah.
The backdoor sweeper that he took was borderline, and he didn't swing at it. He went 3-1, and you can't throw 3-1 middle.
Yeah.
I don't care. Nimmo is still hitting third in the Mets lineup in the playoffs. Like, you got to put it away. Like, it's got to be down and away. That's your safe zone. And Nimmo was looking for that, something that he can lift, and he gave it to him. Good for Brandon. Again, I like Brandon when he's, feeling himself a little bit.
I like it. I like him with a little bit of swagger. I think, it's been 9 years and he's been the biggest nice guy in baseball for 9 years. He's as far as he's ever been in the playoffs. Have a little fuck you. I kind of like it.
I do too. Yeah. And it's not, I don't know what happened. I'll go back and look at, but the stuff he did to Harris, Michael Harris.
Oh, that shit was awesome. We never talked about that.
Yeah, Harris was talking shit to the Mets did their celebration.
That's the one that got me when they took the lead and he's doing this to us. That like in the stream that we did, I was like, man, like Michael Harris is one of these players that I really like to watch play, but you hate to see him play against your team. He did that shit, and I said, okay, never mind. Michael Harris is not one of my fucking favorite players. And
then Nimmo got him back. Yeah. So.
Stuck the tongue out and everything. That was huge. Yeah, so I like this arc for Nimmo, and he gets a big home run there. He's having really an underrated playoff run right now. He went 2 for 5 yesterday. He's hitting .333 in the playoffs. Like, he's been one of the best bats in the lineup.
Agreed.
So the Mets take a 4-3 lead.
Huge.
I think we said this in our pod, but the pitching plan was always going to involve Jose Butto and Edwin Diaz, who were the freshest arms in the pen. Butto, this was a big inning for him. Last time we saw him, he gave up back-to-back home runs to potentially end the Mets season to Bowers and Frelick. It was not a strong outing for him. He lost focus in the Frelick at-bat. Wasn't a good showing. Had to get relieved in that inning. And for me, this was the turning point in the game. I think you can track a lot of what happened back to this inning. Obviously, if Severino punches out Turner or gets the out there and pitches into the 7th, the entire pitching plan changes for the Mets and becomes more advantageous if Sevy can give you another inning. Regardless of that, Butto comes in for the 7th, immediately hits JT with a pitch. Really bad start.
He was nowhere near the zone.
He was wild as hell, very wild. Gets Marsh to swing at some bad pitches. Marsh has not looked great in the playoffs so far, which I think is a good sign for the Mets. Gets Bohm to pop out first pitch in a pinch hit at bat. I can't believe after Marsh works him for a ton of pitches, Bohm comes in, immediately swings. Like, that shocked me. You're the pinch hitter. See a couple. Against the guy.
It was a brilliant pitch.
Yeah, but
like a sinker up and in, like you can't do any damage on that. Like,
so
a pinch hitters, you either throw them a breaking ball or you do exactly what Budo did there. Now, here's the thing with Budo for me. Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead, please.
He looks nervous.
Yes.
To me. He looks a little shaken. So I don't know if he did that pitch on purpose way up and in. I don't know if it was on purpose because it's the perfect pitch to him in that situation. They got lucky to get 2 outs out of him.
Yeah, I think so too. And it sucks because, the Mets, this is the story. The Mets bullpen is the reason why they didn't come away with the win here. They don't have a lot of high leverage arms. They need Jose Budo, so they're going to have to keep using him, and hopefully he can just settle in. Like maybe the home crowd will help out with that. I don't know, but again, he didn't look sharp this outing. I think his mind is still in that last outing. I think that's what I got from this.
I think so too. And he may get out of it. They're going to need him. He's going to pitch another big inning at some point here.
You can't just not use him. He's been one of your most important guys this entire year.
He was this close to getting out of it clean with Cody Clemens getting like that little infield single. After falling behind 2-0, he throws a good pitch and Clemens nubs it to shortstop. Good job by Lindor, who's played excellent defense.
Yeah. So that was what I was going to point to as the turning point in the game. If he can get Clemens there and finish the 7th, you give Diaz a fresh inning. Now, I'm not letting Diaz off the hook because he's your closer. No. He's a $20 million man. He needs to show up in this game. But you set him up so much better if you don't make him throw 6 pitches and then sit for 15 minutes, not making
to be honest, for him, but I thought it was for the best because
you really
the last no, I think Diaz, like you said, Diaz has to be better than what he was. Absolutely. But the last couple times he's pitched, he comes into the game, he has no idea where the ball's going. He finishes, gets out of the inning like he did in Atlanta, gets out of it. He comes back in and he's dialed in. I don't know I was like, okay, Schwarber struck out there on a pitch that I guess he can't see the ball out of Diaz and most people can't.
Yeah.
Schwarber's nasty. And for him to look as bad as he has against, that ball was nowhere near the zone.
It's by his front foot, dude. He was badly fooled.
Lucky to get out of it. And so I was like, all right. He got his bad pitches out of the way unscathed. He'll come back out and be locked in. I thought it was going to work out.
I had the opposite feeling, but I understand where you're coming from because Diaz has been throwing so many outings that are more than 1 inning, and that's also a reason we found ourselves here. Every at bat is 7 pitches. Outs or not, it's all
he has no idea where the ball's going.
He's always falling behind, and he doesn't know where his slider is going to break, and it's agonizing to watch. He is your best reliever. That part is unchanged, but it's a tough watch. It's a grueling, emotional watch. The Mets go down 1-2-3 in the 8th inning against Estevez, who threw 6 pitches. I want to talk more about that after this because can't believe he didn't come back in. Don't know why Topper wouldn't bring his closer back after 6 pitches. Whatever. Diaz comes back out for the 8th. He gets Turner. It's a battle. 7 pitches, but he makes it work. He walks Harper, which I think is the right call. They had no interest in pitching to Harper as the tying run, which I think I agree with. Again, it's the Castellanos at bat that is driving me nuts. 2 fastballs in the exact same spot, up in the zone, pretty much over the plate, a little bit more inner half, but very hittable pitches. What are we doing? I don't understand what the game plan was to Castellanos. It's the only thing that, after sleeping on the game, is still bothering me. Because if you let a guy like Nick Castellanos beat you, he will.
Here's the thing. Do you trust him to throw a slider?
We saw what he did. He threw him to Trey and Schwarber. I don't know. And you said,
but he.
Go ahead. Sorry.
He has no idea where it's going. If it's a good one, he swings over him 9 times out of 9 times. Yeah. But if he hangs one up, which he's been known to do, what does Castellanos do?
He's gonna flick it the other way. Yeah.
Or he's gonna hit it for a fucking home run.
Yeah.
Like he did earlier in the game against a bad slider from Severino.
I think it's just the frustration that I can't ask my closer to throw a slider.
That's the thing. He can't. You got to throw a slider there.
Yeah,
I
you
agree.
can't give him two fastballs in the exact same spot at the very least.
Well, especially you get the first one. You're up 0-1, then you throw a slider because if you throw it in the dirt, when Diaz knows he has to throw a slider that can't be in the zone, he yanks it.
Yeah.
Castellanos has been swinging at those down. That's the perfect pitch. You're right. You can't throw two fastballs in the exact same spot. Castellanos this year slugs 534 or 464 expected slugging, or 534, 464 slugging on fastballs, 373 on breaking balls.
Yeah.
So
it's his kryptonite. Like, you've seen it all year. Like, I talked to Shelfie, our resident Phillies fan, about this, and he was equally as confused as I was with all of Castellanos' last three at bats. All of them. Like,
he's got like a 40% whiff rate on sliders. And if it's a good slider, if it's a good, well-located slider, it's like 65% whiff. So if you can execute your pitches, which a guy making $20 million
should be able
that your closer should be able to execute a pitch that he needs to call. 100% agreed.
I mean, I get it. 130 pitches in 7 days. It is foreign territory for Edwin Diaz. But this is the moment, dude. I mean, we've protected him all season long for this run. This can't happen. It's bad.
But also, all these pitches are also because of he's been pitching like this.
Yeah.
His pitch, if he were locked in mechanically, his pitch count wouldn't have been 105 through 5 days. His pitch count would have been 55.
Yep.
Or it would have been even better because he wouldn't have had to gone back out a few times. So it's all self-inflicted, which is also why Diaz is saying, I got this because I'm putting myself and my team in these situations. I'm going to work out of it. I have to.
Yeah. You can't just abandon it. It's not going to get any better if you just don't use him. So, like,
yeah. I mean, he's still the best option in those situations.
Absolutely. I thought the deployment of him was perfect. You have to use Schwarber there. You have to, and you have to go out for the top of the order. Like, there's not another option that Mendoza could. Like, he pushed all the right buttons. Is the point I'm trying to make.
Agreed. I 100% agree.
Bryson Stott owns Edwin Diaz, apparently. It's been 3 hits this year. He had the go-ahead single at the bank. He had the home run at Citi Field. Now he has this 2-run triple. Stott just has Diaz's number, apparently. Diaz decides to trust the slider against Stott and not Castellanos. That was really frustrating. He threw 4 in a row to Stott. One in the last one ends up middle of the plate, middle, like heart of the zone. Rips it down.
Here's the problem with me.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm looking, like, if you guys use the MLB.com or the at-bat app and you go pitch by pitch, in the rundown, I literally can't see the third pitch.
That's how
it's not the way, where I can't remember it. So I'm like, all right, this will spark my memory. It's not even on the animation screen. And there's like 2 pitches every single at-bat that are so non-competitive that they're waste pitches, and that's why his pitch count has been so high. He has no idea where it's going, and I don't understand why at this point. So missing the whole year because of the knee.
Sure,
you're going to be rusty coming back. I understand the early season woes. His stuff is still electric enough to get away with a lot of this stuff. He got away with it. The home runs in LA and in San Diego and in Arizona are because of this.
In Philly too. Like, that's
Philly too. Yeah. Like, these big hits are because he has no idea where the ball's going.
Yep.
I don't know why he hasn't ironed it out by now. That's the question. That's maybe all these innings have added up because he didn't throw any in 23, but it doesn't feel like that to me because he's still throwing 99. Yeah. His slider, his mechanics are very bad. It's all about repeating your mechanics. And for Edwin Diaz, the way he pitches is very unique and explosive and herky-jerky. which adds to his deception. But it's all about getting to that exact same spot and being able to, like, for his fastball, he gets to here every time. So here's his fastball. And then I think his slider's probably like this. So fastball here, slider here. If he gets to this point every time, he'll dominate. But his fastball, he'll get to here, and it'll ball will run up and into righties or away to lefties, and then he'll get underneath the slider, and it just spins this way, and he knows he's been getting under it, and it backs up, so he'll get on top of it, and instead of releasing it here, he'll yank it over here. Like, you're a big leaguer and one of the highest paid relievers. You've had plenty of experience. You should be able to find your mechanics at some point. So for me, if I couldn't find a pitch, it would take me 2 pitches. And then on that third one, you would figure it out because you've done it so many times that like when I miss a pitch. So when I would miss a pitch, by the way the ball traveled, I'd be like, this is what I'm doing wrong. If I threw a curveball and the shape of it, the way it felt out of my hand and the location all told me exactly what I was doing wrong. And then I would make that adjustment on the second pitch. As a reliever, you have to be able, you don't have 100 pitches. You have, and for me, it was even smaller. For Diaz, he's got 15 to 20 pitches. It can't take you 8 pitches to find your mechanics. But he's doing this. He has no idea. He finds it for 2 pitches in an at-bat, and his shit is so good that he strikes a guy.
That drives me nuts. It's because he'll flip a slider that looks like the old Diaz. And then
and then you're like, he should be able to go, that was it. I can get to that. But it looks like he has no idea. He's just hoping for the best. That's what bothers me. He hasn't figured it out how to find himself, which is what he did in 22 that was so magical. He was able to figure out how to he can get to that release point every single time. And that's not too much to ask for out of a guy.
No, especially he's the highest paid reliever ever, Yeah. I mean, it's been frustrating for me the whole time because all he has to do is be able to throw a pitch in this region, like slider down and in, you got to get it to here and it's swing and miss. And then your fastball, if it's here, it's swing and miss. That's a big enough. My margin of error was this. You know what I mean? Right. Like, I don't know. That's of all these performances, Budo looked nervous. Sure.
It's gonna happen, but Edwin Diaz needs to be able to lock it in at some point. It's been too long.
I'm glad that we're hashing this out because I think at the end of the pod we're going to resolve this and talk about the series going forward. The Mets are not in a bad spot. They're in a great spot. With all that being said, what Pat Murphy said after the Mets beat the Brewers in the 3rd game is that he gave credit to the team and then he said they've got star power. They've got Francisco Lindor. They've got Pete Alonso. They've got all these names. All of the Mets stars are showing up right now. Nimmo is another one who homered in this game to get you the lead. All of them except Diaz. Diaz had a huge performance in the wildcard game or the wildcard series, the 3rd game, I think, where he got 5 outs. That shouldn't be understated because it paved the way for Mets win. But we said it in the pod. It didn't look clean. Like it was a very adventurous inning in 2/3.
He made it more difficult.
Right.
On himself.
That when you look at an outing like this, it almost feels like the one before, like we just got lucky. Like the Brewers took their foot off the gas or didn't swing at good pitches or whatever, bailed them out because this is how it's looked for weeks now. Like it's looked this way for a while. And it finally bit him in the ass with just a really bad at bat against Bryson Stott. Phillies take the lead. It's 5-4. They get a perfectly placed infield grounder. Mets can't make a play. Even if Vientos picks that up clean, I don't think he has a play. Like, it's just shitty, you know?
Maybe at first, but probably not.
He's going
probably
home with it anyways. Momentum's
Correct.
take him that way. I'm not bent up over that.
Yep.
They get the insurance run, which is massive because it sets the tone going forward. 2 runs is so much different than 1 run with 3 outs to play. Marsh strikes out on a really bad pitch. Bohm pops out again. Those 2 guys have just, they don't look right now, which is big for the Mets going forward. 9th inning. We light the rally candle in the stream where we believe that the Mets have 1 more in them. Bader strikes out. Bader didn't look great yesterday. We'll see what happens there. Matt Strahm is in the game. I was surprised by this. I was very, very surprised by this choice. I think of the 3 guys that the Mets hit from their bullpen in game 1, I thought they hit Strahm the hardest. Hoffman had everyone 0-2 and then just kind of let everyone off the hook. And then Kerkering induced the sac fly and got a strikeout. Strahm, I think, didn't record an out, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
He comes in. He gets Lindor 0-2. Feels like every game this happens. Lindor goes down 0-2 in a pivotal moment and then just finds a way, and he singles up the middle. Mark Vientos comes up. He's got 2 hits in the game already. He looks like the Mark that we saw during that week where he had the walk-off home run. Mark went into a lull after that. He got really big with his swing. I think he was playing hero ball a little bit too much. Then he had a nice showing in Milwaukee. This game looked like the breakout Mark that we saw, the guy with like the 900 OPS and all that stuff. He goes down 1-2. He misses a fastball that is center cut, dead red, hard of the plate. Strahm literally winces after he throws it because he knows how bad of a pitch that was.
He got lucky because I've thrown that pitch where as soon as the ball leaves your fingers, you're like, don't swing at this.
It's gone.
Do not swing at this.
It was, 6 miles per hour less, but it was the Severino pitch. And as soon as we threw it, we were all like, fuck, it's gone. I think it's over center field. Strahm throws that, gets away with one, and I'm like, all right, it's over. Because that was the opportunity. Mark spits on 2 sliders. The first one is a nasty slider.
Nasty. The same one he swung and missed at for strike 1.
Yes.
The exact same pitch. Strahm executed.
Yeah. Strahm looked good in that moment. Spikes the next slider further down. So it's full count. He's got to come at him. The pitch that he throws is not a bad pitch. It's
ball 4.
It's ball 4, but it's above the zone, close enough that it's
close enough to where it might go your way.
Yes, you can't take it. It was what I was going to say. Like, you can't. I don't think you can leave that one. That's a close one. Mark got rung up on a call earlier in the game that was pretty close on that sweeper from Kerkering. Mark swings. It looks like he gets under it. At first, it really didn't look like he got it because it goes straight up and it just carries and carries and carries and keeps on carrying over the fence. The Mets tie the game. Unbelievably so. It's such a shame that this home run won't get the love that it deserves because of what happens next. But that ball getting over the fence was unbelievable. I could not believe that they did it.
It was unbelievable. It was such a good moment. This pitch was up and he got the barrel to it. Matt Strahm doesn't throw hard. He's 92, 93.
Yeah.
The movement he gets on his fastball is elite. It makes his fastball play up significantly. And the way it goes, because he's left-handed, it runs away from a right-handed hitter, and it has that good ride. The way he was able to keep the barrel to that ball, vintage, like it's crazy to call it vintage, but that is vintage Mark Vientos. The dude is a freak of nature with power the other way. When he is one of the most dangerous hitters in the game when he's hitting the ball to right center. Yes. And that's why, because he can beat you on a good pitch because he waits for it. Most guys have to go get you. He just lets the ball come to him and he's got crazy power that way. Huge moment. I wish it were a game winner because he should be talked about. Like you said, he deserves his moment in the spotlight because that was a huge performance in one of the biggest games in the season.
Yep. He goes 3 for 4 with a double, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, and a walk. Mark Vientos is now hitting 400 with a 1.179 OPS in the playoffs. Dude's built for it, man. The Mets have something really special on their hands with him. And you could tell that Mendy realized that because in the next inning, no defensive sub. We had been seeing that a ton. Tie game, no guarantee that you're going to win. Keep him in the game. And I thought he looked fine at third base, so I was a fan of that decision. McGill finished the eighth for Diaz. I didn't mind him coming back out here because, like, what is your other option? Are you going to throw Stanek again? Are you going to throw Maton again? You can't throw Reed Garrett. Your only other option really is Adam Ottavino, and you kind of need to keep him for if this game goes deep. Because remember, Ryan Cohn reminded me of this. There's no ghost runner in the playoffs. The 10th inning was going to be flat bases. Nobody on, bases empty. It was traditional extra inning baseball. So this game could have went if they got through the 9th inning. And of course, the worst part of it all is that 2 out, nobody on. Like, they get Hayes on a bad pitch. They get Schwarber again. Schwarber goes 0 for 5 in this game. There's not many 0-fers in Kyle Schwarber's postseason history. This was one of them. You handled him. 2 out, nobody on, back-to-back walks.
The one to Trey Turner was devastating. I knew I like in my gut, I was like, they just lost the game.
You know why? The first 2 pitches were terrible. They were waste pitches. By the third pitch, he finally throws a good cutter, but Trey doesn't have to swing at it because it's 2-0. He can just take it.
Yeah, I mean, it was good shape and location, but it's still at 2-0, you can't throw a ball.
That's your 0-0 pitch to try and
that's your 0-0 pitch. Yeah, or even a 0-1 pitch to get you to chase. But, I mean, he goes 3-0.
He goes 3-0, battles back to get it to 3-2.
He throws an absolutely beautiful 98 up and in. I was like, all right, 3-0, that should be, you should throw the ball there.
Yeah.
The next 2 pitches. He gets a really good cutter. He throws a great cutter that dives below the zone, which is dangerous. I don't like it because you can't face Harper.
Yep.
If Trey Turner hits a home run or a single, you can live with it. You have to throw strikes here. He got away with a cutter out of the zone, tried to throw the exact same pitch. It was the bad pitch. It was
the
so
same
bad.
pitch as the 2-0 pitch, which
it was worse.
You can't, I mean, you
Out of
have
his
to
hand.
recognize the count. You have to recognize the
Correct.
count. Like, Turner is a smart hitter. Like, he's not, I know that he's been waving at a ton of breaking pitches, but like, they understand what they have to do to win this game, and it's get Harper up in a situation to win.
Mm-hmm.
Harper comes up. The curveball scares the shit out of me. I thought the game was over. Harper absolutely pissed on it because it's the middle of the zone, and it does a little rainbow. Somehow it goes foul. When that ball went foul, I was like, oh my God, we're going to win the game. Because in every other timeline, that ball's fair and we lose. He loses Harper. They don't throw him another hittable pitch, understandably so. Nick Castellanos again. You threw him 3 strikes. You threw him 3 hittable pitches. The first pitch was beautiful. It was a slider, low and away, and of course, Nick waved at it because that's what he's been doing. And if you just live there until you make him be honest and make him earn hittable pitches, you can get out of this inning. I don't understand the sinker inside, the next pitch. I don't understand why that was the call. That's where Alvarez set up. They didn't miss a spot. I don't get it. But that's where they went with. They got him 0-2. He spikes a slider, and then he throws another slider in the same spot as the sinker inside. But, I mean, within the reach of Nick Castellanos, he can get his hands in, and he wins the game. And that's it.
Yeah, that's the if you're again, I don't mind the slider again. You should be able to throw 6 pitches in a row to the slider to glove side away.
Yeah.
And if he swings, he's not going to hit that pitch. And if he does, you tip your cap. That's the thing. Like, there's certain guys that have a hole.
Yes.
They have an absolute wave of white flag on a pitch. There's like Josh Bell can't hit a lefty curveball, or Jorge Soler can't hit a slider. And when Severino, was it Sevy that faced the Braves
Sevy,
when Soler struck out?
I don't remember.
And he threw him like 8. Yeah, it was the game that they lost before the rain
the
out.
first Braves game.
The
That was
first
Sevy.
Braves game.
Yes, that was Sevy.
Soler came up in a big situation. What do? You feed the gentleman his kryptonite.
Yes.
You say, all right, if you're going to beat me, you're going to have to beat me where I know you can't win. So you're going to have to make the adjustment. He went slider, 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 and eventually he struck out.
Yep.
That's what you need to do to Nick Castellanos.
That's what they did his first 2 at-bats, and they got him both times. Why change?
Slider. And he's got a pretty... That's what I don't understand.
It's driving me nuts.
He got away with... The first one was a perfect pitch. You don't even have to be that perfect.
Right.
The third pitch, it was 0-2 after he ran a sinker in. If you're going to go in, I'd like to go up and in. I don't even think you need to do it in that situation. Maybe like a starter could kind of set him up, back him up to go back out. In a situation where you're a reliever and you're a closer and you have to throw up a 0, just don't give him too much credit. Make him beat you on a slider down and away. And he hung it. And again, hats off.
Yeah.
Castellanos did it. On top of that, I like the fact that the walk to Trey Turner is unacceptable. The walk to Bryce Harper is absolutely necessary.
Yes.
Because you can't let him beat you. You bring Castellanos up, you got to let him beat you.
Yep.
So I don't mind how it went down. I don't love the execution. So, I mean, that's, again, the Mets should have won this game.
I don't even think you need to tiptoe. This is, they should have won this game. They outplayed the Phillies.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's true. Yeah. They should have won this game. They had the right pitchers in the right spots at the right times, and they let them down.
Yep. But here's what I'll say. So I got the frustrations out, and I think that was good for both of us. Point blank, the Phillies had to play perfect to win this game. They had to get guys that weren't Harper and Schwarber going to win this game. That was how the Mets beat them in game 1. They completely neutralized everybody that wasn't their 2 big bats. So kudos to Philly. Tip your cap. They had to win that game. It was do or die for them, and they did. So good for them. I feel bad complaining so much because like it's so much to ask the Mets, like, hey, you got to go into Citizens Bank Park and win both games against the Phillies, who never lose at home. Like it's a crazy ask, you know? Like not many teams have ever done that. The point that frustrates me is that they could have done it. Like they had the game in their hand. Like they had it.
I'm not upset if before the whole thing, go to Philly for 2, you win 1. You come back to Queens. I'll take it every day. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. We are just talking about the game and the happenings inside the game.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You let it go back to big picture. Look at what is ahead. You can't do anything about what we just talked about. Those are the things inside. Now you got to focus. Now I'm going to expect Diaz to lock it in. And I'll expect the same thing out of him. He doesn't get any more
excuses.
I'm not going to let him get away with what he got away with anymore. Not like that again. I'm not going to gotcha. I'm not going to gotcha. Yeah. He's doing everything. He's stepping up. He's throwing tons of pitches. He's pitching earlier in the game. He's doing it. He just needs to do it, if that makes sense. I love Edwin Diaz. I think I love everything about him. It's not being harsh to ask him to execute. Mm-hmm. That's the difference.
Yep. No, I 100% agree.
So,
at the end of the day, Mendoza manages the game perfectly. The Mets hit 4 home runs. They hold Schwarber, Realmuto, Marsh, and Bohm hitless. They score 4 off the bullpen, and they lose, which is it's a tough script to recite because they did so many things well this game. Here's why I'm feeling good about game 3.
Good.
Let's take it there now because we got the probables. Sean Manaea versus Aaron Nola. Big time matchup. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Mets come back home. They get an off day today. They play tomorrow. Huge. Let me ask you this. I said it yesterday in my reaction. I think I'm sticking with it. And who knows what the Phillies decide to do. Whatever. If the Mets win game 3 and they go up 2-1, and you're Rob Thompson, and Zach Wheeler has 3 days of rest after throwing 110 pitches, is he your game 4 starter with the season on the line?
Right? Probably.
Yeah, like I
probably.
feel like,
but no, he's not.
no.
You know why?
Why?
Because they should be trying to win a World Series.
But what if you lose game 4?
Then they lose game 4, and it's not Zach Wheeler's fault.
Right.
It's the rest of the team's fault. I'm not going. You need those other guys anyway. I don't know. I understand the thought, but if your team is as good as you say you are, you got to have better performances out of other guys. So
I understand that. And you know what? Like, it could go either way. It's not set.
Yeah. I would understand if he does start. I wouldn't start him.
But game 3 becomes important because the Mets can put all the pressure on them. The pressure right back on them. If you win with your ace on the bump and you beat Aaron Nola and this lineup stays hot like they've been, top of the order has been producing, which is huge. They go into game 4. They might not have their ace. They could go your way and they might start like Ranger or something who hasn't been great in the last 2 months. I know he's a playoff guy, but he hasn't been great. That's their option. Or it's Wheeler on short rest with probably a tight pitch count. You can put all the pressure in the world on them by not going back to the bank. Because if this series gets to game 5 and Wheeler doesn't start game 4, he's going to be full rest at Citizens Bank Park in a do or die game. It's going to be really hard for the Mets to overcome that because they beat him in game 1, but they really didn't beat him. They just waited for him to get out of the game and then they won. And you better believe that he's going to look that good again, because why wouldn't he?
And he's probably will throw 145 pitches.
On full rest, he'll throw as many as he needs to get that complete game if he looks the way he did last time. So game 3 is imperative, man. I mean, you have the advantage in your corner now. It's a best of 3 set, and you have home field advantage. Like, this is set up for the Mets to win. Getting 1 at the bank was so massive. And I think the biggest thing that bothers fans is that it's not the one that we thought we were going to get. Like, we thought that Wheeler probably is going to mow us down game 1. We're doing all this crazy travel, whatever. We win game 2. Instead, it's the opposite, so it feels weird. But I really like where we're at because Manaea was your ace this year. You want him to have the ball in a massive game. And then Quintana goes game 4, who just had the performance of a lifetime to save your season in game 3 of the wild card. I feel really good about both those guys taking the bump. And then I texted you about this last night. It was a late night thought. And I was like, I don't know how much I subscribe to this, but it's something worth thinking about. The Mets have 3 starters going right now that I think they can put a lot of trust in. They have Severino, who looked great yesterday. Probably should have had 6 shutout innings, but lost focus at the end. Manaea's been a guy for a while. He's stumbled as of late, but I still believe in him fully. And then Quintana, who just showed up big time. David Peterson's also great. He's been fantastic for you. 11 shutout innings over 3 games in the past week. Do the Mets give any consideration to just keeping him in the bullpen? A bullpen that has been such a weakness for the team, and you can deploy him as like this 3-inning monster out of it. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's a good idea, but
I don't hate it.
But he would also be great as a starting option. So like it's just tough. But the other 3 guys, I feel like can't do that role.
But I think I thought about it a lot with your text. I think you kind of have to. He has to be available out of the bullpen. Maybe if all things go great, he doesn't have to pitch like yesterday.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But if he's available and you don't have to,
let me ask you this.
Like McGill's down now, they're going to need another guy. Yeah.
Who do you trust in the Mets bullpen right now? I have one
Stanek.
name. 2 names. Stanek, I think I trust because he looks like he's just
and Reed Garrett.
And Reed Garrett. Those are your 2.
But again, I'm not putting Reed Garrett in a tie game in the 8th or ahead in the 9th.
Exactly. I don't feel comfortable using Reed Garrett in any inning later than like the 7th.
Agreed.
You shouldn't, because you want to feed him to his strength.
He's also proved that so far this year, he's proved that moment, like being a closer, he kind of he gets a little too tight, and then he doesn't.
Like
he didn't
he
perform.
shrunk in May games. I don't want to see him in an October playoff game in that moment. I don't.
Yeah, but he
I don't
looked
think that's good for
incredible.
him or the Mets. Go ahead, sorry.
He looked incredible in in those earlier innings. So he'll be like the guy to bridge to an 8th inning guy.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like Maton is kind of up and down a little bit. I don't not trust Maton, if that makes sense, but he's not locked in. And then Diaz, again, Diaz has to pitch in the games he's pitched in, but
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say that he's in the circle of trust.
Like
If that makes
there's a
sense.
world where the Mets can get 6 out of Manaea and then just put Peterson in and end the game. Like you can just
Possible.
ride him out. So like
Give the guys another day off.
yeah.
When did Peterson last pitch?
Peterson threw 3 on Saturday. Through 50
What's
pitches.
today? What's
Today's
tomorrow?
Monday. Tomorrow will be Tuesday, so that's
Monday.
it's 2 days rest. It's tough.
Three would be a tough ask.
So if you give him Tuesday off, you can use him Wednesday because that's 3
I
days
mean,
rest.
I think if they piggyback Manaea and Peterson here,
That's
if
a
he gives
winning
you-
formula, man. And then you can use your.
I mean,
entire
you have him.
bullpen in game 4.
You bring him in the 7th. You bring him in the 7th, and if it goes smooth, you take him out, bring him in the 8th. And if it's smooth and quick, then you bring him in the 9th. I don't know what the answer is, but I really do think that they might move Peterson to the bullpen.
You gotta
They just
consider it. You got to
the
consider it.
end of the season is weighing heavily on their bullpen arms.
Yes.
They are very taxed. A lot of it with Diaz is self-inflicted, but it's also because he's decided to put the team on his back at times, regardless of performance. He's like, I'm throwing 50 pitches here to get, and it worked, But Maton threw like 5 out of 6. Reed Garrett's thrown a bunch,
Stanek's thrown a bunch too. Like everyone has thrown a bunch besides
Budo,
Ottavino.
So the innings are adding up. And Peterson would be a good weapon to have, and I think he'll be there. But I think 3 might be too much. They're talking about it. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
And Peterson has proven this year that he's willing to do kind of whatever.
Yeah, that's what we talked about when he got the save. It was kind of a selfless act. Of Peterson,
100%.
Yeah.
Yep. So
they're going to face Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola had 2 starts against the Mets this year, 2 very different starts. The one in May with a lineup that you can barely recognize. Nola threw a shutout at Citi Field. Scary. The one in September, the one I care a lot more about because it was 3 weeks ago, 4 1/3 innings, 6 earned runs, 2 home runs, 2 walks, 6 hits. That I feel like is probably more indicative, and that was also in Philly, of what you might see somewhere in between there because Nola's been a playoff performer, but I feel really good because it's no longer the supplemental bats in the lineup getting things done for the Mets. It's the guys right now. Lindor went 2 for 5 yesterday. Vientos had 3 hits. Nimmo had 2. Alonso had 1. 3 of those 4 guys homered. Those are the guys you need to produce if you're going to win big time playoff series. So I like where we're at. You obviously wish you're 2-0 in the series because you could have been, but at the end of the day, you took one at the bank. You have your rotation set up. You have home field advantage for the rest of the series. Go out there and win, man. Go out there and make us proud. Do what you've been doing all season long. Keep proving people wrong. Win 2 at Citi Field.
Yeah, I agree. You're in the driver's seat here.
Yep.
I think because you got your ace in Manaea going at home. He just shut down. They shut him down for 7 innings, I think, on the 21st of September at home. Pitched brilliantly. He's on full rest. He's back away from the mound in Milwaukee, so I think his stuff will play. He threw like 70% fastballs, sinkers last time he faced him and dominated. I like the way it's setting up. This is now a must win for the Mets this first game, because if you go up 2-1, you got a lot. It's a lot better for you because you don't have to go game 5 against Zach Wheeler.
Yep.
So-
World is your oyster if you win game 3. All the pressure goes back on Philly. It's
1-1 in Philly. Bottom line, the game 2 is over.
Yep.
you just move forward and understand that game 3 is the game you got to win.
And you know what I liked as a last note before we wrap things up here. Brandon Nimmo's post game. I don't know if you saw any of the clips.
I didn't.
Cool as a cucumber, smiling, laughing, almost in disbelief that the Mets were like in that game, because that truly is a game that they didn't have any business winning at the end. They look calm. I think they realize how good a brand of baseball they're playing right now, specifically the offense. That made me feel so much better. To not see him so tight, like that made me feel so much better.
Not be heartbroken.
Yes.
After a heartbreaking loss, huge, because they know they're like, we already got one. We won. We won one.
Yep.
Bring it on home and see if these guys can perform. The only questions are it's the bullpen. It's the bullpen.
We'll see.
And that's what it's coming down to. How nice would it be to have Brooks Raley,
Edniel Nunez, Sean Reed Foley,
Drew Smith.
Drew Smith.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that until right now, Jerry. That drives me nuts.
I've been missing Brooks Raley all season, bro.
I think he only threw 8 innings, but it was like the best 8 innings ever.
Yeah, that was a tough one. But again, David Peterson, I think he will be in the bullpen. So they're going to have a strategy. They've already talked to him. They're going to feel it out. This is what makes me happy is the decision-making process.
Yes.
The way they've deployed Edwin Diaz was spoken about. If this is the situation, this is how it's going to be. Diaz was ready. The team was ready. They pulled the triggers at the right time. They pulled the right levers. They told McGill, like, hey, if this is what happens, you're going to be in. That happened. McGill came in. McGill pitched fine.
Yeah.
He did fine. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, the walk to Trey Turner and then the bad pitch to Castellanos, it's over. But now you're home. You're even series. This is a true 50-50, man.
Yeah.
You got to win 2 out of 3 and you play 2 games at home. Got to feel pretty good about that.
Got to get it done. So
got to feel pretty good about that.
You guys now.
It's win a 3-game series against the Phillies. So
they just won a 4-game series with home field advantage against the Phillies. So they have the ability to get this done, and I believe that they will. What a privilege it is to be talking about Mets baseball a week into October, talking about an unbelievable pair of games in this NLDS, even separating the wild card game, which was equally as entertaining. This year's playoffs has been fantastic, and it is awesome that our team is part of it, a big reason why it's been fantastic. Remember that. Wash away the loss. They played well. They didn't get it done. That's okay. Get excited for tomorrow. I'm going to be in the stadium. Wherever you are, be around Mets fans, be around people like you. Have the most fun ever, because this kind of thing doesn't happen a lot, especially in Mets fans. Enjoy it. Soak in every moment. Let's get a couple wins. Let's keep shocking the world. Let's go to the NLCS. Let's win some games. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets. Yeah, man. I think most Mets fans are feeling good. I think so, right?
I think so.
Are you getting a different feel?
No, I think you have to hash out the anger of losing a playoff
Agreed.
game, because losing any playoff game sucks. We all know that. But move on. You have a day to calibrate. Let it go. It's all good.
The old 5 o'clock game tomorrow.
I have to leave work early for that, but don't tell anyone.
Oh, darn. But bottom line, let's win a series here. Let's do this. We can do it. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets, baby.
Let's go Jack. Do you have your outfit picked out? What are you wearing to the game?
Indoor jersey.
If you were to pick a jersey, a player to buy a jersey right now, who you buying? Good call. Mine might be a Nimmo.
Station.